Everyone is arguing about whether Dembélé or Lamine Yamal should win the Ballon d'Or, but I think there's an obvious contender right in front of us. And yes, I don't even think I'm exaggerating with this one, because Nuno Mendes is the best left-back we have ever seen. Probably since prime Marcelo in the 2016-2018 period when he was really in the peak of his game. And yes, I'm saying this with total clarity that since prime Marcelo, we've witnessed the sextuple version of Alphonso Davies, Andrew Robertson in 2022, Joao Cancelo at Man City, and so on. But Nuno Mendes is easily better than all of them. And this could be seen in every game for PSG since the start of the calendar year. Ever since his arrival in 2021, there has always been a sense that he is extremely talented and destined for great things, but that's now been multiplied by 10. First, I can't even assimilate what a beast is unfolding before our eyes. His improvement, it's been so exceptional and sharp that he's gone from being just a solid left-back who struggled against good wingers to being undoubtedly the best left-back, if not even the best fullback in world football overall. All due respect to his partner in crime, Achraf Hakimi, but Mendes surpasses him in my book. Just look at the way he accelerates and you can see what a talent he is. He can basically carry the ball forward on his own. Think about it. Some of the best coaches in the game, they're devising plans to press and position their players to prevent the ball from being thrown into their own half, like Guardiola, Arteta, Inzaghi, and most recently, Xabi Alonso. Then, Nuno Mendes comes up against them and completely shatters all their tactical preparation. That's how influential Mendes is in today's game. He can carry the ball all by himself. While there are other players who can do this successfully using their immense pace, Alejandro Balde immediately springs to mind, Mendes does it more effectively. Firstly, Mendes is stronger and bigger than Balde, which allows him to be more physical. Secondly, Mendes' touch is clearly better, which is crucial in this part of the game. And even if Balde, or let's say Theo Hernandez, are good with the ball at their feet, do they have the shot or the pass of Mendes? For Hernandez, yes, he could be argued to be close to the Nuno Mendes we're seeing right now. In the 2020-21 season, for example, Theo Hernandez finished with 7 goals and 8 assists, which is not better than Mendes' 5 goals and 5 assists this season. But it's not just about the numbers, is it? Even if Mendes had scored 5 goals this season, let's look at exactly when those goals were scored. 2 of them came in the Champions League quarter-final against Aston Villa. Yes, everybody thought that this would be a walk in the park for the Parisians, but the Birmingham side put a huge pressure on PSG, and were actually the last side to really push the treble winner up to the wall. Mendes scored 2 of PSG's 5 goals in the 2 legs, becoming the first PSG defender to score 2 goals at that stage of the competition. Another one he scored in the Nations League final against Spain. He scored the equalizer in the first half and provided an assist, but not to mention the monstrous penalty he scored during the shootout. This further reinforced the conclusion that he was Portugal's best player that night. Or maybe we're missing something, because without you even realizing, we mentioned some of Mendes' victims: Arteta, Inzaghi, Xabi Alonso, Aston Villa in the Champions League, Spain in the Nations League, but there was one particular player that night against Spain who couldn't even get a fresh breath without Mendes sniffing around him. But before we reach that, let's start from the very beginning of his punishing raid. Yes, most of you all think that it started on that rainy night at the Parc against Liverpool, but it actually began a little over a month earlier in the same stadium, but against Manchester City. After 55 minutes, PSG were 2-0 down against the English champions, having conceded goals to Jack Grealish and Erling Haaland. After losses to Atletico Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Arsenal in 3 of their 5 games, it looked as if PSG were going to crash out of Europe yet again. However, thanks to a stellar performance from the entire PSG team, and particularly Nuno Mendes, who kept Phil Foden quiet for the entire game, PSG scored 4 goals in the last 30 minutes and eventually qualified for the playoffs. I know that Foden has just finished his worst season to date, but at that point, he was the Premier League's current player of the season. And apart from that, he's not just any footballer, but Phil Foden, one of the biggest talents England has produced in their modern football history. So I think this definitely enters Mendes' CV, especially considering the importance of this match. Then Salah took center stage. Mendes had one of the toughest tasks possible: to stop the world's most informed player at that moment. Salah, however, looked helpless, especially after being intercepted or tackled for the 10th time in a row. The Parc game didn't show us much of the Salah-Mendes duel, but the Anfield game certainly did. Nuno displayed one of the most one-sided and convincing fullback-winger duels we've witnessed recently. It all started with a goal line clearance within 10 minutes of the start of the game. From that moment on, everything Salah tried to create was brilliantly countered by the Portuguese. And what did the stats show? 70% of duels won, 7 defensive actions completed, and 100% dribble success in the first half alone. And what about the numbers for the full 120 minutes? The number of defensive actions increased from 7 to 19, almost triple. This was undoubtedly the most convincing performance of all those discussed. Then, in the quarter-finals, he made a more memorable impact on the other side of the field, with his 2 goals at the Parc des Princes and Villa Park. However, the semi-finals offered us another grand duel, Nuno Mendes versus Bukayo Saka. Mendes knew that Saka loves to go inside and put the ball on his left foot. This is different to what Salah tends to do in one-on-one situations, because the Egyptian also likes to go to the outside, cutting directly through the penalty area. Despite the difference in styles, Mendes was brilliant yet again. His recovery runs and calm composure forced Saka into off-balance attempts, tipping the tactical balance in PSG's favour. For those shouting in the comments, Saka scored against PSG. Unlike Salah, let me remind you that Bukayo did it after being substituted, which is a whole other story. But that wasn't the end of his brutal streak. In fact, it was far from it. Next step, the Nations League final. Spain and Lamine Yamal came into his zone, but Mendes didn't make the same mistake as last time they met. Some of you may remember that the 16-year-old Yamal had previously embarrassed Mendes when PSG met Barcelona in the Champions League quarter-finals a season earlier. The Parisians came out victorious, but Yamal toyed him for Barca's opener when Rafinha was on the receiving end of Yamal's cross. Mendes had time to prepare mentally and physically for his duels with Yamal, which we will hopefully see again in the near future, and he completely neutralized him in the Nations League final. He achieved a 100% tackle rate, 3 out of 3, and won 70% of his duels, 7 out of 10, conceding just 1 successful dribble over 120 minutes. Combined with his goal and assist, this earned him Man of the Match award. Next, in the Club World Cup round of 16, he faced his toughest challenge yet, Lionel Messi. PSG dismantled Inter Miami 4-0, with Messi barely finding any space. Even at 38 years old, Messi is still Messi, as he demonstrated in the group stage. However, at that level, it was clear that he'd lost a lot of his pace and simply couldn't cope with Mendes' physicality, positioning, and anticipation. Nuno completely denied Messi's rhythm, forcing him to take 1 late free kick, which was completely blocked. And finally, Kylian Mbappe for the semi-finals of the Club World Cup. Most of you PSG fans would love to see us include the French superstar in the list, but I don't think that would be fair. Firstly, Mbappe had just recovered from stomach flu, and this was his first start in over a month. Secondly, the game was completely one-sided, and there weren't many opportunities for a duel between the two, so we can't fairly assess who won it. Thirdly, Mbappe was positioned centrally rather than on the right wing. So, it's entirely up to you. Was Mbappe humbled by Mendes? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. And also, another interesting one. In this video, we named at least 7 victims of Nuno Mendes only throughout the 2025 calendar year. But could Roberto Carlos, Maldini, and Ruud Krol be added to the list? Let me explain. In football history, these are the only 3 fullbacks to have finished in the top 3 for the Ballon d'Or. So, in order for Mendes to beat them, he has to win the most prestigious individual award on the 22nd of September. I don't think that's possible considering the higher PR that Ousmane Dembélé or Lamine Yamal have. But would it be deserved? Definitely, because Nuno Mendes is the best fullback in the world. If you enjoyed that one, don't forget to hit the like or subscribe button, or just check out some of our latest uploads. Catch you there. Bye.